After Sean Diddy Combs was charged with sex trafficking and racketeering conspiracy, a federal grand jury is hearing from more witnesses as the criminal investigation into the disgraced mogul continues. Combs has remained behind bars in a federal detention center in Brooklyn since his arrest in September. Although he's pleaded not guilty to charges of sex trafficking, racketeering conspiracy, and transportation to engage in prostitution, at this time he'll remain locked up until his trial, which is slated to begin in May of next year. But are more charges on the way for the mogul? Federal prosecutors have alluded that a superseding indictment could be on the way for Combs, and we're getting more insight into what grand jurors may have heard from a witness when they convened this week. According to a report by CNN, jurors on Thursday were expected to hear from a witness who claimed he was allegedly in possession of videos that contain footage of celebs being potentially victimized by the Bad Boy Records founder. The witness, who reportedly hasn't filed any suits against Combs and is not claiming to be a victim of him, says he has information and evidence about sexual abuse and other misconduct by Combs, some of which allegedly involve celebrities. But according to the witness's attorney, Ariel Mitchell, who also represented two of Combs' accusers in their lawsuit against the mogul, she said her client was subpoenaed. According to another report, the witness told TMZ he was initially contacted by federal agents with the Department of Homeland Security. And he's previously done interviews claiming he's seen salacious videos of Diddy and his celebrity friends. Sources told the outlet the subpoena from federal prosecutors asked the witness to turn over all records, including thumb drives, hard drives, electronic storage devices, or devices containing videos and or other files depicting Diddy. But that witness would drop another bombshell, as he claims he was given 11 flash drives containing at least 8 sex tapes involving 8 celebrities, 6 men and 2 women. Courtney Burgess told News Nation's Banfield on Thursday among the 8 celebrities who were Combs' alleged victims, about 2 to 3 appeared to be minors. Burgess told Ashley Banfield in an interview with his attorney Ariel Mitchell every single celebrity appeared to be under the influence in the tapes and were seemingly victims, not perpetrators. Burgess told Ashley Banfield he was working in Atlanta when his former associate, Kim Porter, the ex-girlfriend and mother of 4 of Diddy's children, shared the flash drives with him. Burgess claimed he also received an unedited manuscript from Porter's alleged memoir. The book, which was released on Amazon, titled Kim's Lost Words, A Journey for Justice from the Other Side, was slammed by Porter's children, who called the claims in the book simply untrue. In a joint statement from Kim Porter's children, Quincy Brown, Christian, Delilah, and Jesse Combs, which was released in late September, they wrote in part, quote, "Claims that our mom wrote a book are simply untrue. She did not, and anyone claiming to have a manuscript is misrepresenting themselves. Additionally, please understand that any so-called friend speaking on behalf of our mom or her family is not her friend, nor do they have her best interest at heart," end quote. As a federal grand jury continues to hear new evidence in the case against Sean Combs, Burgess says he's no longer in possession of the tapes, but his attorney said the alleged tapes tell the story of what Diddy has done over the past 30 years. This isn't the first time we've heard about the alleged celebrity freak-off tapes. Mitchell previously said she was contacted about the sale of one of the tapes, but didn't reveal who was in the video, only saying it was someone high-profiled who could be seen in the tape, but the tape was leaking around Hollywood.
Mr. Combs was in the tape, and this other person is, I would venture to say, more high profile than Mr. Combs.
Really? Really? And you've seen it?
I've seen stills of the video.
That alleged A-lister reportedly was horrified the footage was being shopped around. An insider told the New York Post the alleged video brought up really disturbing and bad memories for the unnamed celeb. But while Combs sits in a jail cell awaiting trial, his attorneys have previously denied all allegations of wrongdoing. In a previous statement, his attorneys say, in court, the truth will prevail, that Mr. Combs never sexually assaulted or trafficked anyone, man or woman, adult or minor. Let's unpack the latest developments with trauma expert and author of Stolen Childhoods, Thriving After Abuse. That's Sherry Botwin. Sherry, thank you so much for joining me today. Always great to see you. It feels like every week we're seeing new developments in this ongoing legal saga of Sean Combs, aka Diddy. Now, this week, a grand jury witness said he has information and evidence of Combs victimizing celebrities. What's your reaction to that?
My reaction is this case is just getting worse and worse. And you know what? I'm not surprised at all. I was expecting that as weeks went by, more and more people are going to come forward, more videos are going to be leaked. So while I think it's awful and horrific, I'm not surprised at all.
And this witness spoke with News Nation's Banfield this week. He says that he has sex tapes of eight celebrities, six men and two women. He said it appeared that they were under the influence while allegedly being victimized by Combs. I know when his arrest happened, many wanted to know who was next, not at all thinking of the possibility that other celebrities were also victimized allegedly by Combs. What are your thoughts on just this whole added layer to this case now?
I think he has so much power. I should say he had so much power that even people who are considered celebrities and had or have amazing careers, there's something about this particular man. He had so much stature in the music industry. So while it's really upsetting and maybe surprising to people, even celebrities, other people involved with Sean Combs may have felt like they didn't have a choice, or this was something that they had to do in order to have their career be lifted up. And the other thing that we have to keep in mind is when people are under the influence, whether they were drinking and taking drugs on their own accord or things were being put into their drinks, people aren't going to make the same choices that they would make during the day in a regular day-to-day situation.
And similar to the lawsuits that have been coming out recently, more people are coming forward claiming that they were minors when allegedly being assaulted by Combs. But now this witness says that he saw videos of at least two to three different celebrities who were allegedly underage at the time the video was taken. What are your thoughts just about essentially just the disturbing and horrific allegations that this witness claims that he has been seeing these underage celebrities also being victimized by Combs?
I have a couple thoughts. The first thought I have is how many witnesses are there or were there? Why didn't any of these witnesses who were adults try to do something? And then another part of me says they were witnesses, but if they had spoken, if they had said anything, the threats to their life or their lives could have shut them down. In terms of the minors, I'm not surprised because again, if you think about it, a teenager or a young adult, 19 or 20, 18, 17, when they're at those ages, their careers are just starting. And what I'm thinking is they are probably looking at Sean Combs and idealizing him and thinking, well, if I do what he says or I give him what he wants, maybe I'll get what I want. And the other thing that we have to keep in mind with minors is they don't have the capacity to make the same choices that adults would make because they're not developmentally able to think about the long-term consequences. And the one other thing that I'm thinking about some of these minors, we don't know what families they were coming from. Just because somebody is a celebrity or is very known in the public, we don't know what was going on in their families. So some of these celebrities were vulnerable, especially the minors. But you know, there's so many questions I have about all of the people involved in this latest breaking story. Where do they come from, and who did they know, and what were they told? So like you said, there's so many layers, and I think we're not going to know a lot until more time goes by and the investigation continues to move forward.
And you mentioned an interesting point there where you were saying that these alleged victims that they may have been enamored by Combs, and it's interesting that you point that out because in some of these lawsuits where the alleged victims were minors at the time of this had happened, Combs allegedly told them, "You want to break into this injury industry, excuse me, you do this for me or you do that for me," just exuding that power, but in exchange for, like the indictment says, to please his sexual desires. What do you make of just that power dynamic between a young person who, by all accounts, may have wanted to act, sing, dance, whatever it may be? Then they meet Sean Diddy Combs, and he allegedly says, "You need to do this in order for you to break into this industry or get to this place in your career." What are your thoughts on just that power dynamic that
I mean,
allegedly was exuded?
he definitely used his power to his advantage. And when you're young and you have dreams and you want to be successful, and someone like him is saying, in order to get what you want, you're going to need to do things that you may not want to do, they're going to believe him. They may think, well, I guess if that's what he says, then that's what we need to do. And while I think some of the minors may have questioned or thought in the back of their mind, this does not feel right at all, it it wouldn't necessarily stop them from engaging in these types of acts. And I think that's one of the most enraging parts of this story is how manipulative and coercive people in power like Sean Combs. And again, there's so many stories right now that we're hearing about in the media where it's the same story over and over. If you want to be successful, if you want to get what you want, you may have to do things that you don't want to do. This is not a new story. This is just one of the stories that we're hearing about.
Yeah, and as a trauma expert, we did see the ramifications of Me Too, and many celebrities, particularly, came forward when it was Harvey Weinstein and Bill Cosby, and it was all in the headlines. But when it comes to Diddy, it seems that everything has been a lot more tight lipped. Why do you think that is?
I think one of the reasons is because there's so many people involved. When you see images of these freak offs, of these parties of celebrities dressed in white, and you're seeing hundreds of people attend these parties, I think what happened in this story is that Sean Combs has so many people working on behalf of him. The amount of enablers, the amount of witnesses, all of these other stories, Harvey Weinstein, Bill Cosby, one of the differences was that, for instance, with Bill Cosby, he would invite women into his home. He would invite them one at a time. So there were no witnesses in the room. His wife might have been downstairs or his kids might have been home. But in this particular story with Sean Combs, there's so many people who have attended these parties. And I think one of the things that we're hearing, and I know we're going to find more out, is there's many people who I think knew something, but either chose not to say anything or were told, if you speak up, you will be dead. That's one of the reasons why I think this story is coming out in 2024, which we're almost 8 years after hashtag Me Too at this point.
Yeah, and I imagine a lot of celebrities have a lot of other things at stake as well too. Not just their reputation, but their brand, their image, their career as well too. So for someone who is in the public eye, in your opinion, what type of trauma do you think these celebrities have been experiencing?